Hi, my name is Fabian. I'm from Germany, and my question is, what is the real reason for the financial crisis in 2009?
Well, first of all, I don't think that it is the 2009 financial crisis the way I see it. It never ended. The crisis is simply having a change in form because we aren't correcting it, but we're covering it in different ways. And thus, for a latent period of time, it's cooking and once again breaks out like an illness. Like we want to calm it down, but we don't want to cure it. We can't cure it, suppose. So it as if calms down, and in some time, once again, it shows itself, it appears. The same with the crisis. The reason for the crisis. It's hard to say what the reason for the crisis is if we don't see the entire world, the whole of society, which is a result of it all. And also, all researchers point at it. All in all, our common collective ego pushes man to do everything in order to simply print money and collect it and accumulate it. He doesn't need it, but a few more millions, that's what each one's ego pushes him at. And we're as if in this kind of race that we ourselves don't really need it, but as if it gives us a sensation of security, a feeling of warmth, of greatness, of the I. And that's the way we're going about it. We have to understand that the whole reason is man's developing ego, which is boundless. And we're reaching such actions where we can't stop ourselves. A person, even if he's in a life-threatening situation, still he can't stop himself, but he will keep on with this race. Thus, the correction for it, like the correction for all of our crises, besides the financial crisis, we also have a crisis in family and education and everything. So, turns out that while we're sitting and talking here, we really have to think about the correction, and the correction of the ego. It's not by forgetting about it and starting to engage in other things as if it doesn't exist. That's in the meantime. We haven't corrected the crisis, we've only covered it by printing a few more billions of dollars, and in the meantime, it's going on. From America it goes to other countries and returns. It's a kind of a ping-pong. Greece, for instance, they couldn't take it, they couldn't overcome the crisis, so they were given a few billions of dollars or euro, and then Spain, and then Italy. But it's not a solution. If you give the poor money, he stays poor, only you've given him, and you've given as a result of printing a bit extra. It doesn't have a cover, actually. It's unbalanced in the world. There's no balance in the world between what you have, between the things that you produce in the world and the money that you print. There has to be balance between the two. And it's out of balance for a long time now, and thus we're undergoing a very serious crisis. There's no correction for it, but correcting man's nature. And the wisdom of Kabbalah speaks about it, and if not, we'll neither correct this crisis, nor especially the eco-crisis.
You know, when you were talking about how the problem is man's ego and that we have to work together in a sense, I remember that I watched a lecture, a presentation by Gordon Brown, and he said similar things actually. It was quite interesting. He said that the financial crisis is not it's just a certain aspect of a global crisis, that it's not just this, and all these things have to be solved globally. So it does seem like global leaders, world leaders, are talking about trying to work in a global world.
But they don't have the tools. They don't have the tools to correct it. And thus, they're only covering it because there's no choice. We know that we're gonna die, but in the meantime, we don't want to think about it. Let's eat and drink, for tomorrow we die, or the day after. In the meantime, why think about it? That's what every person thinks. For instance, I'm an old person. I know that maybe in a few years I'll die, so what? Now I'll start thinking about death. Why do that? It's even worse than dying now. So that's what they all think. And it's true, it's correct. They're doing the right thing. If you do not have a tool, an instrument to correct the situation, then cover it at least, and whatever happens, happens. That's the max you can do. In the meantime, at least you're as if living a calm life.